Let's welcome in Bengtsson on the virtual stage here. Great. Let's see if you can get the camera going as well, but I'll start by introducing you, Bo. Oh, welcome. Great to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Welcome here.
Thank you.
So Bo, he's the Deputy General Secretary at the Swedish Golf Federation, and he has a long record of working with legal matters as well as strategic and technical issues in IT, digital solutions, databases, statistics, and analyzing data. And the Swedish Golf Federation is pretty unique because it's the largest sports federation in individual sports in Sweden with 405 member clubs. And then the last year, the golf operations involved over 400,000 individual players, including myself, playing over 11 million rounds. And the topic that you're going to talk about, Bo, is the Keep Sweden Golfing, how to engage in new generations of golfers and non-golfers. So I'll leave the stage to you, and a huge welcome, Bo.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for the presentation. I think you said everything about me that has to be said. So let's start with a flyover of golf in Sweden and the sport. And as you said, we are one of the largest. We could be the second largest of all federations or the third largest. Depends on how to calculate the athletics federation. So far and for the moment, they are allowed to include Friskis and Svettis, the gym chain in Sweden. But most likely Friskis and Svettis will form their own federation in the future. But let's see. Soccer is always the biggest in all lists, in all rankings, but we are quite big as well, and really big for being a golf federation. Actually, 4.5% of the population in Sweden plays golf. And when I say plays golf, that means that you are a registered active member of a golf club. So it's not people that play sometimes or from one year to another. This is based on the actual fact. This is the people that have paid to play golf the last year. And they amounted to 4.5% of the population. That's higher than England, Scotland, Ireland. It's actually just Iceland who has a higher figure. They are up in 5.0% of the population playing golf in Iceland. But compared to all other states in Europe, we are the second largest. We have been actually more people playing golf in Sweden just a few years ago. In the beginning of the 21st century, we had a peak. On the year of 2004, 554,000 memberships were registered. Then we had a decline, quite big decline actually. 80,000 people leaving golf in 8 to 10 years. Then it was stabilized in 2013, 2014, then a little bit up again, and then it stabilized. But last year we had a tremendous growth due to the pandemic and other issues, but specifically to the pandemic. That helped us a lot, that you were able to play golf. And that's irrelevant of all the other restrictions that was in Sweden at that time, and the same for this year. This is a sport that you could actually play as much as you would like to. And last year we also got a great number of new members and people returning to golf. People that have been playing before, juniors, childs, playing from time to time, they came back to golf. And then they amounted to 94,000 people. At the same time, almost 50,000 left us, and that has been the same for a lot of years actually. 50,000 to 60,000 people are always leaving golf or the golf clubs, taking a break, coming back after 1 year, 2 years. So it's a great flow of people coming out and in from the golf clubs, and that's not that easy to cope with actually. And that's why we're into marketing automation and a lot of communication tools bring out to the clubs to help them to handle this flow. Some key features: you could either count the individual golfers, single person, and they amount to 505,000. Some of them, as me, has more than one membership. We are members of 2, 3, 4, up to 6 golf clubs. And that's why the figures of memberships are always higher than the individual golfers. So 538,000 memberships. The average age is 48.6. That means that it's people born in the 1960s. That's the fundamental base of the golfers in Sweden nowadays. It used to be the people born in 1940s. And at sometimes, let's go 10 to 15 years back, up to 10% of the population born in the 1940s played golf. That means that almost everybody knew someone that was playing golf, or had a friend or a family relative who played golf. And that's the way to recruit new golfers, that their friends are playing, their family are playing, or their colleagues at work. That's the best recruiting way to get new golfers. We have a share of 26.6% women. That's quite high in Europe. It's higher in Germany, but it's quite high. It's much higher than UK. But still, it's not that high as we would like it to be. We have actually a vision of 50-50, and we are aiming to get up to at least 30%, but that's hard. The number of people, the number of women starting to play golf is increasing last year and the years before, but there's always more men coming to golf than women every year. Let's say that 1/3 of all the new members are women, 2/3 are men, meaning that statistically, there will always be a decrease in the share of women golfers, though the number of women playing are up. The junior golfers has been declining for quite a long time now, but last year that there were a great turnout, and they went from a share of 9.5 up to 11.5, which is really, really good. If you start as a child or junior player, you will come back to golf as an adult as well, or a parent, or when you're retired. Then you will start taking up golf again if you have had a pause between your junior time and your senior time. As Maria said, we played great amount of golf runs last year, actually a record. This is based on facts. This is the tee time bookings made in our IT system used by almost all golf clubs in Sweden. We didn't have that system back in the beginning of the 21st century when we had a peak of members. But all of us that were working at that time with golf or involved in golf and playing golf, we are pretty sure that last figures were something ridiculous, actually, a new record. We haven't never seen that much people out on the courses. We have never before seen so fully booked golf courses as we had last year. And this year has started in the same way, actually. We are up 28% the first 16 weeks of this year. So there will be a lot of golf played this year as well. Internationally, there is a huge discussion and demand for the golf clubs to get online. That's not the issue in Sweden. We have been online since 2005. Last year, 78% of all tee times were booked online by the golfers, in our app, in our website. The rest, 21%, that's actually the players get in contact with the golf clubs. If they are guest players, they want to know about the restaurant, the shop, the facilities, or there any maintenance, or there something else we have to take care of before we come to you. They want to speak to the club and get more information. That's why the golf club books every 5th time. But that's a declining figure. The online tee time bookings made by the golfers are always increasing year by year. Who is playing golf in Sweden? Well, here you will see it's based on age, and the average for 2020 and 2019. And as you could see to the left, the young people, the people between, let's say, 18 to 30, they played a lot more golf last year. And that's a very interesting group that I will come back to. That's the new golfers in Sweden now. It's the people studying in high school and universities or having get their first job. And it's people that has, in most cases, no family, no child yet. And they are in a phase of life when they could play more golf. And last year, and this year as well, I would say, they have so many restrictions about homeschooling, not attending the universities and so on, which means that they've got the time to socialize on a golf course, which they do. And the same goes for the group to the right in the picture, the elderly people, the 60 plus, the 70 plus, the people that were in danger of having COVID last year, that had a lot of restrictions and have to keep almost outside of the society, but they could always play golf. They could play in their own family bubble. A wife and a husband, they could go playing golf for a couple of hours instead of sitting home. And then they didn't have to interact with other people. They could book the tee times online, which they do actually in Sweden. Most of the tee times are booked by people 50 plus. And then they could play for certain rounds, and that's really, really good for the health of people in Sweden, that they could still play golf together with others nowadays when they got the vaccine. Okay, but how do you engage these people then? It's a lot of people. Everybody understands that. And in order to answer that question, I really have to say a few words about the organization of golf in Sweden. It's organized like all other sports in non-profit organizations. The Federation of Golf is the same as the Soccer Federation. We are the founder members of the Sports Confederation in Sweden, Riksidrottsförbundet. It's the same structure for all of us. It's memberships, bylaws. Clubs are members of the federation, and the players are members of the clubs. So they are not members of the federation. And that's important when you take next step and discuss how to communicate with these people. As our aim and our target and our responsibility is to serve the golf clubs, not the players. It's to serve the golf clubs so that the golf clubs could serve their members. And that's the only sports in Sweden actually. We have also made a setup that we welcomed private-owned golf courses, running companies, actually profit organizations. The course owners that would handle everything from club tournaments to the course and all the play on the course without having to deal with a golf club. We have said yes to that and made contractual relationship, and we actually treat both the owners and the golf players as they would be members. They're treated in the same way, with the same responsibilities, the same benefits as we give to the golf clubs. And this has been a really, really important solution for golf and to keeping the golf market as one unit in Sweden. And we're all able to cooperate. And the organization is not the most important thing. It's better that we're all aiming for the same activities and targets. And in 2004, the clubs decided that we should have an IT system of our own. So the SDF and the Federation, and I was actually heavily involved for many, many years in the operations. We got the task, please develop a system for us, which includes membership administration, fees, invoicing, handicap tournaments, and the online tee time booking. So we created GIT, the Golf IT system, and that's why we are able to communicate with so many people at the same time and having the possibility to make such analysis that I will show you later on here. We could also create our own guidelines and a code of conduct for how to handle all the GDPR matters and all the matters before that when we had the Personal Data Act in Sweden. So we have I could say that we didn't have to make that many changes when GDPR was introduced. The fundamental legal structure of how to handle Git and the Git database was the same in the beginning of the 20th century and 21st century with the old acts as with GDPR. No real changes actually. So we have agreed together with the clubs that they are responsible for all the handling of the club members' personal data. The legal relationship between the player and the club. The player being a member of the club or buying a right to play on a private owned course, That's creating the relationship that we use for all the handling of the GDPR. And we, the Federation, is the personal data assistant to the golf club. But, and this is really important, we have also agreed between the clubs and the Federation that the Federation has certain right to access the data, not just as a personal data assistant, but in order to contact the golf players. We could send out a magazine, information letters, or communicate in whatever way there will be in the future. We have the right to send all the golf players in Sweden information, or education, or knowledge, or spread any information that's vital for the clubs, for the players, and for the Federation. New rules in handicap, new rules due to COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, we could send out a letter to all the golfers, and we do a lot, and I will show you some examples. But we also agree that direct marketing is prohibited for clubs and for Federation. We are not allowed to sell any information from the Git database. But we could include commercial ads and commercial information in our communication with the golf players and the members. But we are not allowed to sell it to a sponsor or something like that. We have also agreed that the different clubs shouldn't recruit people from each other, trying to get members from the other club in the city. They are allowed to market against guest players, and to market the facilities, and to play what's called the greenfield play on the courses, but they're not allowed to send out an email to 500 people not being members of the golf club and trying to get them as members, as long as they are members of another golf club. So that's some of the rules, but we're also allowed to make a lot of things. And that's the way how we work with all this. The clubs should engage the people. They should set up an environment that recruits new golfers and keep old golfers there for a long time. It's a facility, it's a club, it's a social life of the club, everything, soft values, really complicated, but that's something that must be provided by the golf clubs. That couldn't be provided by the Federation. We could provide knowledge, guidance, education, services and tools, and we do. And in most cases, directly to the golf clubs. In some cases, that's the website and the app where you could book tee times. You could say, okay, then it's the Federation more straight line directly to the golfer. But otherwise, it's for the golf clubs for use against their members. Let me show you 4 examples of that. Firstly, we do a lot of studies and surveys on a national level, and that's important. That's part of our responsibility as being a federation. That's part of my responsibility as well. The Generation Z, that's some of them. Let's say if you take all people from 18 to 30 years old, we studied them. It's more than Generation Z, it's generation before that as well. But it's that people born in the 1990s and the beginning of this century. And 25% of all new members and all people coming back to golf last year were in this generation, between 18 to 30 years old. So we asked Ungdomsbarometern in Sweden to conduct a study. And the main question was, why did you start playing golf last year? And will you continue to play? Is this for real, or is this just something that you try this year but not next year? And the answers we got, after having conducted a huge survey with interviews, studies, we had people from Ungdomsbarometern playing golf with young golfers. We sent out the survey and got over 1,000 respondents the same day. And they together said that, okay, the corona pandemic was a key factor. More time and less other activities, less weddings, less brunches, less social activities. Some of them are doing sports on a high level, on an elite level, and they couldn't play matches and they couldn't play tournaments, but they could play golf instead. The phase of life was right. They're in studies, they're on the first job, they have no children. They have time to play golf in case they delete other activities from the calendar. And you had my friends playing golf. yeah, that's a way to recruit new players and more players and players coming back. Friends playing, family playing. Your partner is playing, then you will start playing. And they all said, we have planned this for a long time. I planned this. I played golf when I was 10. Now I'm 25. And I get it, given it a lot of thoughts that I should be taking golf up again. And this year was the right year to do it. So that's a question, the answers we got to our questions. And then we asked, will you play more golf next year or the same level of golf? And they said yes. We will even play more next year. And as I said, based on live statistics, they are playing. They're playing more golf now, and they have already started. Unless it's snowing outside my window, they are playing today. Second, member studies. That's a tool for the member clubs that we provide them. The Players First, it's a company in Denmark. It's developed by our colleagues at the Danish Golf Federation, but it's used by us, and we are now part of development. It's a great tool to make surveys, member surveys, guest surveys, culturing surveys. When we were working with Vision 50/50 and that kind of issues, we could make a survey in this tool. It's really great. You ask a lot of questions. It's divided into 10 service areas. Action plans could be made out from the system. You could do filtering when you're going through the respondents and all the results you have got in. And last year we got 134,000 respondents. That's almost 30% of all golfers responded to this survey in order to help their clubs. And it's run on 330 clubs. And we are taking care of all the administration of this. So we make the sendouts, we make all the integration with Git, we take care of the questions, and then we could have our club advisors to present it to the golf club and to the board of the golf club and the management of the golf club. So this is just an example that you give a score on every issue, every service area. You have the MPS question, would you recommend your club to a friend, family member, etc. And then we try to calculate what's important to improve or not. Well, training and practice at this club, no action needed. You get a quite high score. It's not that important, not impacting on the MPS answer. But service and experience, the score should be higher, as it's very important when you decide whether you will recommend the club or not. So that's something that you might have to improve during the year. The red one, internal club life, the social life of the club. Very important for people if they should stay in the club. Action needed, the score is too low. It's high impact on the MPS. Please work with this. And then we try to help them with guidance, knowledge, so on. Data analysis, the third thing I would present on all levels. This is for the club in the same tool from Players First. They could see live data from Git, analyzing the tee time booking. They could do a lot of filtering. They could see how's the forecast for next month and the bookings for next month. A year ago, I think we have at least tee time bookings for the last 3 years in this system. So they could go backwards and say, this week, 2 years ago, was that good week or not? When are the demands for playing? Is at which time of the day? Does that change due to if you're a certain type of member or not? You could also analyze all the memberships of the golf club, seeing who's the new members, what's the type of members, what's the handicap, what's their age, etc. We do a lot of big data analysis on the federation level. This is part of my responsibility. So we make a lot of reports every year that we send out to the clubs, to all our staff at the federation. They should know it. They should be able to take this out to the golf clubs and present it to them and what to learn from this. And this is based on data in Git. And the database is quite large. At this time, after so many years, we have 1.4 million people registered. You get an ID when you register first, and that ID is kept forever. It's not reused, which means that if you leave golf and then we have to take you out due to GDPR, okay, we still protect the ID and your handicap in case you will come back. We have more than 74 million tea time bookings in the system, and it's growing every day. We have more than 20 million handicap rounds, and we have all tournaments played since 2004. All the results from these tournaments which could be analyzed. It's small tournaments, it's pro tournaments, it's club tournaments. Which means that we could always try to get the right facts, the right background data in order to take the right actions. And last but not least, our new steps together with Datatalks and to integrate Sales Manager and CDP into our system and to work with that. That's something that we're working on right now. We started last year at the federation level. Now we try to bring it to the clubs as well. One thing that we started last year was that we introduced a new site on golf.se that's owned by Federation in order to present golf for new people, people that are not recruited by friends and family, but rather that they have read an article in a newspaper or given it a thought, or someone has said to them, you have to have a hobby, you have to be in better health and shape. Why don't you start with golf? Then you could go into our website, you could register there, and we try to help you out by sending you emails and information and try to get you into the system, and then you could learn a little bit more about golf and finding your golf club. Every time a tee time is booked, it generates an email, a confirmation, a booking mail. And as we had more than 11 million booked tee times last year, you could just imagine how many mails we have been sending out. And add changes of tee time bookings, cancellations, confirmations, welcome letters from the golf clubs. And then we have for handicap, for tournament and so on. Well, when I asked our staff yesterday, our technical staff, our consultants in technical staff, and they said, well, this year we have an average of 125,000 emails every day, per day. And that will increase during the summer. So this is a huge business operation that we do together with Datatalks nowadays. This is part of the federation using the database in order to communicate directly to the players. This is an email with a setup in Sales Manager and a letter from our president of the SGF sent out as a Christmas letter to all golfers. Wishing them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Talking a little bit of the Corona times and all the restrictions that are still there. But also including commercial information from Folksam, the insurance company that's part of actually it's our main partner at the Federation. And as long as they have something that they could communicate to the players, it could be about their sponsoring of golf, there could also be an offer directly to the golfers. We would like them to have an offer just for you who is a member of a golf club. That's why you're getting this information. Then it's okay to do it. This is not direct marketing and in our legal setup, this is giving our members information, well, commercial information, but still more information than marketing. It has to be written in that way as well. Well, next step, something that's just ongoing. We have a pilot with a number of clubs that we introduce CDP and marketing automation to the golf clubs in 3 different steps, 3 different levels. All golf clubs communicate in a digital way with our members. That's something that's new, but it could always be improved. We give them better tools now, better tools to do segmentation, to do filtering, to make better presentations, better emails actually, looking better and giving a better impression. The next step is to communicate with the guest players as well. And well, that was all, Maria.